with some slow speed traffic. The setup is a 94 S350 diesel, OM 603 3.5 rod bender. It's basically an unmodified engine other than full EGR delete and some vacuum simplification and a bigger turbo from VS Racing. I don't have the specs on hand, but it's somewhere in the ballpark of a 56 or 58 millimeter T3, no wastegate. And it is a little large for this application, especially considering an unmodified pump. I've barely even modified the Alda, but I do have the Alda Plumb direct to manifold. So we'll pull down to second here, and I'll wait for these people to finish, and we'll hammer down. It doesn't hardly smoke at all. 1-2 upshifts at 4,500 in second. That's 50. So it starts to build boost around 2025. You may can hear it out my passenger window that's rolled down. Once you get above 3,000 RPM, it pulls really hard. Don't know how much boost yet. I've got pyrometer, manifold pressure, and charge temperature gauge installed pending. I've got all the sensors installed. I just haven't run them through the firewall yet. But it drives great. I think it needs about a half a turn out on the Alda. Maybe not quite that much. And I think it'll be pretty much perfect. Fresh filters. There's some new lines, of course. I feel like I may still be having a minor air leak because I'm getting some micro bubbles in the primary filter, the small plastic filter. But overall, it's not bad. I'm going to pass this person. Shakes. I've got a warped rotor in the front. Brand new ceramic pads and new rotors are in my toolbox right now. I just need to install them. Haven't had time. 3,000 pull, 3,500, and that's not quite wide open. That's stopping at the detent for the delay shift. Still third gear, not in overdrive. We'll go ahead and hit overdrive. Got a red light in front of us. 55 miles an hour and 2,300. Turbo's spooling, but it doesn't produce much boost at that low speed. I do think a little more Alda adjustment, some more base fuel would probably fix that. I have not touched the max fuel inside the pump at all, and don't know if I want to, frankly. We'll see. Maybe a little bit. The car's very happy and stable around 80 to 90. I don't particularly want to go any faster than that on these tires. Front tires are new, rear tires are 4 or 5 years old. Going to an 8.5-inch wide, 17-inch wheel for a 275 width tire. 275s on my new brakes, we'll open it up some more, see what it's actually capable of. But as it sits right now, it's a lot of fun and still gets good mileage. Which is what I wanted, something fun but got good mileage. I will be experimenting with waste motor oil. I have a ton of it and several 1 and 2 micron filters. I do not have a centrifuge. I'm looking to get one, but for the time being I'm looking to boil off the moisture and at least 2 passes of a 1 micron filter, large diesel filter. It'll probably take something to fit it, whether that's diesel or some old gasoline or something. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Most of the waste oil I have is for marine applications, so it tends to be on the 1030, 1540, or straight 30 side. We don't get too much thin oil here in Texas. Hell, I run 1550 in this car, so. Do a drive, wide open, pull all the way to D10, delay shift D10. To the floor. End is where it needs the most help. Up top, it's really good, 60 plus miles an hour highway speed. You can just roll it to the throttle and it just pulls and pulls and pulls. Very happy with that, but it definitely needs a little more on the bottom end. I'm just hesitant to adjust the ALDA anymore until I get my pyrometer. My understanding is the 3.5 liter 603s do have a 6 mil pump, where the non-rod bender engines, the regular 603s, have a 5.5. I could be mistaken. I wish somebody would chime in on that, but I believe U.S. domestic market 603 3.5 liter rod benders have a 6 mil pump. At least factory U.S. domestic market turbo ones that have an air research pattern turbo. Also got some questions about that. The turbo I'm using from VS Racing is a T3 pattern, and it did bolt right on. It did require a little bit of fabrication work to hook up the exhaust, but I actually reused the majority of the downpipe and bought a 4-inch V-band flange off of Amazon because the turbo has a V-band outlet. So we took that V-band flange and the 3-bolt KKK style flange downpipe, because this car originally had an internal wastegate turbo, air research, 5-bolt, going to a 3-bolt KKK style adapter. I imagine all the downpipes are probably the same regardless of what market the car's for. And I just ground off the 3 ears of the downpipe and fitted it by hand to fit inside of this cast V-band flange. I believe it's cast steel, I'm not positive, but it appears to be. And once I ground it to fit snugly, we buzzed it in with the MIG gun, and I actually haven't removed it since to fully weld it, so there is a very minor exhaust leak. But considering the fitment and considering the home builtness of it, it's pretty good. Pretty good. So I'm about to pull into my shop, and I will leave the car running and get out and show an underhood video, since I had a lot of questions about that too. Hopefully we don't have any nasty surprises. This person would learn how to drive, that'd be great. So like right here, it's still in third. It's a 2000 and building slowly. That spots where it needs a little bit of help, but I also don't want to get the exhaust too hot. The factory EGR line and casting, I just flat removed, and the port on the exhaust manifold where EGR was tapped from, I machined a plug to fit it. I took a JIC style hydraulic plug and chucked it in a lathe and ground it down to fit that boss on the manifold tightly. Tight enough I had to beat it in with a hammer. And I took that and beat it in with the hammer, and then proceeded to tack it all the way around with a MIG welder turned fairly high, and that worked really well. So let me get this hood popped. Let's do a pass or two under there real quick. Car needs a paint job, but it's pretty straight overall. Pretty straightforward. New bleed lines from Amazon. A atmosphere vented catch can. This is the turbo from VS Racing. I'm going directly from it into the crossover pipe with the double O-ring adapter still in here for the EGR, but none of the EGR plumbing is here. Obviously I have a blanket over the exhaust housing. Flashlight. Here you can see I have a hole burn in the exhaust. Ignore that. I had the welder set kind of hot. That 4-bolt flange is part of my V-band flange that I bought off Amazon, and I have the original Mercedes downpipe inside of it. And I do have a little bit of an oil leak still. That's off my drain. My drain is down there, and it's leaking from one of the bolts. That's a 4-inch turbo inlet with an anti-surge housing. And I have my AC tip sensor undone at the moment, just so my fans run full time. I did get a large alternator from Billy Ayala, I believe, off of Facebook. Down there. So that sucker's brand new and puts out over 200 amps at 14.5 volts. It's a hell of an alternator. I'll give y'all the hookup if y'all want one for your 603. Otherwise, real simple. These are all my new lines for my multi-gauge. Got a map sensor, or manifold pressure, manifold temperature, and of course a pyrometer. The pyrometer goes into the plug that I made for the EGR. Let's see if I can get to it. So the EGR is plugged entirely where that hex-headed bolt is. And then the pyrometer just goes into the center of that plug. That old seepage is from when I changed out my PCB recently to this catch can. And you can see it's got some blow-by. This motor is actually slightly hurt. I have not confirmed it, but I believe it to have a bent rod on number 4. When I had the exhaust manifold off entirely, just on a naked head, number 4 was puffing pretty good, and it's running smooth once it gets warm like this, but I'm certain number 4 either has an egged out bore or has a partially bent rod. So, but my thoughts are on this. I'm going to have some fun with it as a 3.5. If this motor breaks, I have an 86 300 SDL out back with the other a 3.0 603 turbo model. So if it comes to that, I'll put this bigger pump and this manifold and turbo on that motor and stud that motor and turn the pump up a lot, or have maybe the guys down at Ben's Force make me a pump out of diesel necking components, and we should really have something. But otherwise, it's a fairly clean car. It's a little bit low in the rear. These are the original wheels. These are 235 width tires, and that does help a little bit. Keeps them from getting curbed. And these are the original 16-inch wheels for a 94 S350. LEDs in the front, 9.0 light cannons. They are 20,000 lumens. My oil pressure gauge jumps around like probably most of these cars do because of the wiring problems, and I do have one replacement harness already installed. My light cannons do well. I'm happy with them. The car rides wonderful. It drives wonderful. It's got one finger power steering. I need to get a replacement lens for that right side reverse marker, but that's my running light. It's that bright even here in the Texas sun. I need to repair this. I still have this tattle for the reverse. I just haven't reinstalled it. Next things on the list are stereo overhaul and AC overhaul. I have a bad AC compressor, so we're going to look at doing a 12-volt electric AC compressor on the existing AC system. But otherwise, this is an original car. My understanding is that there's only 63 94 S350s in the country, at least black ones, maybe total. So the S350s are not particularly common. This one's been in the family for a long time now, well over 20 years. I think we were the second owner, so I love it. I'll never sell it. We're gonna redo all the trim, the wood, everything's gonna go back. We're gonna restain the wood that we have. We're gonna take all of this wood out and we're gonna restain it a real dark, almost gunmetal, ebony type stain. Keep the Zebrano wood and pattern, but we're gonna go with a much darker gray color, something that'll kind of tie into the lower gray on the car as well. So, and if anybody is in Texas that has another 140 like this that has a front bumper, I need the whole thing. This is my original front bumper, but it was involved in a wreck and all of my styrofoam crash support is destroyed. My chrome trim is destroyed. The bumper itself is not in good shape. That's not even the right color. I spray painted that, and it is pretty close, especially when the car is dirty like this, but it's not correct. That's a satin black, let's see, Krylon satin black. And it is being held on by those 4 stainless screws right now, which is super ghetto, but you know, you do what you gotta do. So if anybody has a S320, 500, 600, whatever for parts in Dallas, Fort Worth, let me know. I would like a couple things. I would love an extra hood. I would love a 500 SEC grill, and I may need some door cards. Mine are in okay shape, but like that speaker grill's busted, and I want to keep this car as original as possible, but still have a little bit of fun with it. So, y'all have any questions, get at me. Facebook, YouTube, all the above.